All right. Hello, everyone. This is Josh Matthews Morgan with Learn Your Brain. And I am bringing to you another of our live belief shifting sessions where we help entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches delete the limiting beliefs that are holding them back live and in person. And it's been really fun. I believe this is the third or the fourth one that I've done, and they've all been awesome. And the people have been just tremendously open and willing participants and allowing themselves to be shown live during this process, during the transformation. So it's just really fun for me to be able to do this. And one of the reasons we're doing this too is, full disclosure, we do have a business doing this, and we believe in giving value in advance and proving to people that we can help shift limiting beliefs by doing it live so other people can see it. So if you're interested in this process, learning more about this process, feel free to reach out to me directly right here on Facebook or any other channels. I'm not that hard to find. And if you are interested in learning more about the specific technique that I'm going to use today in the session that we call the erase and replace technique, or it's also commonly known as emotional freedom technique, then we have a free explainer video that's a walkthrough of all the steps in our Facebook group that you can just join our group and ask me, hey, Josh, I want to see that video, and I'll tag you in it. So cool. Yeah. And if you really want the deep dive support and help from us, ask me about our Mindset Mastery coaching program. It's a really awesome way where we get to work one-on-one with you to delete any negative beliefs holding you back. And we actually have some wonderful high performance training as well, in case that's an area of struggle for anyone. So I think I've got enough intro. Let me bring on my guest. And this is Lyndal. There we go. Bring her on.
Hello.
Hey, Lyndal.
Hi.
I am saying your name, right, Lyndal?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Wanted to make sure. So Lyndal is really cool. And we just kind of chatted just for a few minutes before the session. Why don't you just tell everyone a little bit more about who you are and what do you do?
So I'm Lyndal, and I'm from Christchurch, New Zealand, and I have a full-time job and a side hustle, which is digital marketing and Facebook ads.
Nice.
And what I'm struggling with is selling my own services. I'm brilliant at selling other company services. So I tend to get busy changing my website again or doing a course and procrastinating rather than doing what I need to be doing on my business.
Yeah, which I think I shared with you in the little pre-call that's a very common pattern that a lot of people fall into, because sometimes with selling in particular, and sometimes with marketing yourself too, it brings up some of these limiting beliefs, some of these feelings that are very uncomfortable for people. And it can be something as deep as like a really negative core belief that you have about yourself, or something as simple as, I don't want them to see me as a salesperson, right? I don't want to hurt the relationship or something like that. Now I know we chatted for maybe 5 minutes or so before this, and I know based on what you've already told me that it's probably not that. It's probably not that you feel blocked about selling in general. And that's true, right?
Yeah.
Because you've done it successfully with selling other people's things, right? Other people's stuff. So, we can go ahead and rule that out, because that's a common belief that people struggle with. But you said specifically, and this is one I want to zero in on a little bit, that you struggle with selling your own stuff. And in the pre-call, you told me that that's kind of been a pattern for a little while now. Is that fair to say?
Yes. When I used to sell, I used to be an artist and sell paintings, and I think felt vulnerable that this is what I've created, and that people would criticize it. And I wanted to stand next to the painting and then say, this is what I've done there and why. And so what's interesting is that same feeling is following me with my business, and rather than putting myself out there and believing in what I'm doing as I do with other companies, I'm being busy and not actually attracting the clients and doing the work and the customers. I'm sort of hiding behind the back end stuff. So if I could put the energy into me that I put into a company, it would be great.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good. That's very helpful information. So, all right. So let me ask you a little bit more about the art stuff, because that's what's calling my attention right now. You said that it was difficult for you to put it out there, or to have it felt uncomfortable when other people. Let me fix the lighting. I like my chin has got a little. Hang on. Let me just lower this real quick. So it's distracting me and probably other people too.
Yeah, I think
close enough.
A lot of creatives feel like that, in that they want to create and they don't want to then have to do the business end of it, and they'd rather hand that off to people. So that's where that is. And I think it's also a similar feeling now, even though I'm in marketing. That's the irony. It's like I could do marketing for other people, but marketing myself, I feel uncomfortable for some reason. That I guess that people will see my ads about me, and then there'll be judgment, and I suppose.
Gotcha. So that's a good noticing. So you're afraid that there's a piece of you that's part of you that's afraid of other people's judgment of you, or seeing that you won't measure up in some way. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, there's always that fear of not getting the results that people expect, or you haven't conveyed all the variables of the results. So the customer expectation, I suppose. You know, we all want to make people money, but sometimes that sort of doesn't happen. You know, the product hasn't been tested enough, or it's not viable, but people think it is. You don't want to shatter people's dreams. So there's, so it's just, I guess, controlling people's expectations, or not controlling them, conveying.
Okay. So, and I want to just have a full disclosure to that. When we chatted about some of this, you got a little bit teary-eyed. So, in the pre-call, so that might happen. Yeah, no, and that's totally normal and part of the process. I did check with Lyndal to make sure she's okay with sharing all this and going deep on this, because I have a feeling this session will unveil some particular deep core beliefs that we need to shift. So she's a trooper, and she's cool with it. So if that does come up, then we'll go with it. And part of the beauty of the process is that when it comes up and we're really on the right feeling, even though it's strong and intense and sometimes can bring tears, it shifts things very quickly. So you won't be in that state for very long, hopefully. So
I poor audience if I am.
Well, let me actually really quick before we do any deeper stuff. I just want to, you don't need to give any details about this if the answer is yes, but have you ever had any kind of severely traumatic experience at any point in your life that was like overwhelming to your system or too big to bear?
Yes.
Okay. Without going into any details, do you suspect that this might be connected to that?
No, actually, no.
Okay, good. All right. Good. I wanted to check on that, because we don't, especially in a live session, but even in our coaching, we don't deal with trauma and PTSD, because I have a history of that, and I know how difficult it can be to open up Pandora's box in that way. So, well, anyone watching this too, do not try to tackle trauma and PTSD on your own without the help of a licensed mental health professional who specializes in that, because you really can open Pandora's box. We're not going to go there today. Well, I think the stuff we're going to deal with is pretty core belief stuff, but not trauma PTSD stuff. So do you agree with that? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So let's do this. I feel my way through these sessions because there's a lot of different approaches that we can take, and this is kind of an improvisational. But my mindset is always to go directly to what I think is happening. So, tell me just a little bit more about putting yourself out there with your own stuff, right? Why do you think that's so uncomfortable to you?
I think because you don't know who's looking at it.
Yeah.
And they don't know you and opinions, I suppose, judgment.
Yeah.
And yeah, probably makes me feel quite vulnerable that, because you're putting your personality with your company and your brand, and so it's part of it. And so yes, your face is on ads and things. So I guess it's probably worse if it's people I know that are going, who she thinks she is, or she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Does that feel more uncomfortable to you, that thought of other people you know judging you versus strangers? Or is it equal?
It's probably equal, because they're for different reasons.
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever, when you were at any point in your life, but especially when you were younger in your formative years, when you were like below 18, have you ever felt like someone was judging you or seeing you as less than in any way? No. Okay. Will your parents ever give you that message, even implicitly?
No, I think they were disappointed I wasn't a male.
Okay.
Second child. But no, I never felt that I wasn't enough or anything.
Okay. That is that the disappointment you were a male, was that an actual thing in your family? Or like did you ever feel that from them?
They've never said it, but farming community, back then the generational thing was to hand the farm on to the son type thing. But I did read it in cards that were sent to my parents when I was born. Oh, shame it's not a son for Brian and who's dad. So
wait, say that one more time. What you read? What? Can you repeat that?
A shame it wasn't a son for Brian.
Okay. Interesting.
But
who's dad? You said
that was a card sent to my parents.
Gotcha.
But and you just take it with a grain of salt, I suppose. But my parents never made me feel like that. I was a bit of a tomboy, so
yeah. So it worked out.
Didn't matter too much. I was still on the motorbikes and stuff. Yeah.
Does that feel like it's got a lot of charge to it? That it's reading that card and does that feel connected to this current situation?
No, I don't think it does. I think it's interesting that someone would actually write that and send it to.
That's pretty messed up. Yeah. It's like, talk about weird expectations, I don't know. Societal stuff like that can be really weird sometimes. Unfortunately. And that's where sometimes people's limited beliefs come from, is that kind of thing. But I think you're saying it's probably not that.
No, I don't think it's that.
Okay. Have you ever tried something before and like felt like you failed at
it? Losing weight.
Okay.
I used to be really driven, and particularly I worked in a bank, and it was quite a male-dominant industry, and I was really driven and got to the top in a quick space of time, in about 10 years as a bank manager. But then I got pregnant and got made redundant, so that was the end of that. So I guess you could say that's a failure in a way, but not. I think I had a business that was going under. My husband at the time was in it, and the two partners that we had in it, we all ended up separating and divorcing, and a house securing company debt, and so then the family home had to be sold. So a lot of changes there, and that did knock my confidence, that suddenly when you're self-employed to then you have no job. And I had 3 children, 5, 7 and 9. So suddenly I'd gone from a bank manager and entrepreneur to a single parent of 3. So that was pretty huge, because then I was there trying to find a job that fitted around children and trying to provide them the quality of life that they were used to. And then, that was quite hard. because then you've got the school holidays and issues and things like that. So I then became a student so that I was around for the children and did a degree extramurally. So and then started on that. But the positions I've had since then have sort of been short term, or I've skipped from job to job. They've been like contract ones for 6 months or a year and things. So there was a big bump in the road with the separation and divorce, which was my instigating. So
the divorce was and the separation. Okay, so that's good information. Let's check on that. Does that feel like there's something that you internalized or learned from that experience that applies to this situation? Does that feel true or no?
Yes, I think it's around the company, and I can feel it.
Yep.
Be fear of success, fear of failure, because I've been close to it before, and since then I've also gone hard and burnt myself out, and have had to take a 6 months break. And so I'm worried of failing again, because it was quite spectacular last time.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I have a feeling that's it. I have a feeling that's a good starting place for the process. Do you feel, is it your intuition telling you that too?
Yes. And I think with the company, when you're a bank manager, people think that you know everything about being in business, which you don't. You know everything about looking after other people's money. You don't know about invoicing, and all the
sales, marketing, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And back then there was no websites and sales funnels. It was all publicity and get into your store. So it's different, but I think there's that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's also the feeling a little bit, what I'm understanding from that is like a little bit of like a fish out of water sense. Like maybe people expected you to be better at certain skills than just because of your banking experience than maybe you were initially. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it was, but I viewed us all as equals, and so it ended up being no one steering the ship, and none of, and don't go into business with your partner or your best friends, and none of us had. We knew the knowledge of what we were doing, but not actually running a company,
right?
And so
gotcha. Okay,
it was doomed from the start in a way, but that was traumatic.
Yeah,
and
it sounds like it.
From that, yeah.
And it sounds like you had some major life changes that happened after that. That also is tied in with this feeling a little bit too, right? Like some bumps in the road that you were talking about from, like lifestyle changes that you had to, get other jobs and it kind of set you. You said it bumped your confidence down.
Yes, because then the jobs I had to get were like motel cleaning and which is bloody hard work.
Oh, absolutely. It is hard work.
Yeah, and things like that. That your ego gets a bit of a knock, I think, too, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay. All right. I think we've got a good starting place for this process, and sometimes it takes a little asking, a little bit of me reflecting back to you to figure out where the starting place is. But I'm pretty sure we need to shift this. I'm pretty sure this is like a key thing that needs to be shifted. So in order for you to feel more open about your own business again, right? Because here's how the emotional brain works, right? It doesn't see things in shades of complexity and in nuance, right? So it doesn't say, oh, well, there's a lot of factors that were involved in that failure, and it wasn't just my fault, all these other things, and next time it'll be better, right? And because of all these it doesn't do that. The emotional brain is much more simple in its logic, and it goes, oh, I failed, right? Oh, that was a spectacular failure, and it's maybe you don't believe it's all your fault, but there's a self-judgment piece to it too. Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just wanted to get that in there, that this is common. And I had to shift my own feelings of failure from earlier stuff to where I felt like I failed spectacularly just as well, in order to be free and feel like I can move forward too. So this is, you're in good hands, and we're going to get to the bottom of this and shift it.
Okay.
So what we need now is we need a statement that matches your feeling, the strongest feeling about that whole collapse or whatever you want to call it, the company going under, that matches the feeling. So I feel like, and we're going to put it in present tense. This is important for the process, because even though it happened in the past, you're feeling it now and you're projecting into the future with that same feeling.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
So we always put it in the present tense because that's how the emotional brain works. So I feel like I failed. Is that how we start it?
Yeah. What did you say earlier when it was a core belief and I felt like I was welling up?
Something about yourself. A core belief is usually about, gotcha. So let's go there, because I had you right where I wanted you, and then we started the live portion, and we shifted a little bit.
Yeah, but it's come up since then, and I can't remember what I was saying.
A core belief is basically the fundamental way that you see yourself or the world. That's really what the definition of a core belief is. So with an event like that, that's really difficult and traumatic, what can often happen is you internalize a core belief about yourself, like there's something wrong with me, or I'm not good enough, something along those lines, that got attached and get created during that event. Does that make sense? Does that feel true?
Yeah. I think it's about being vulnerable and fear of failure. Is that? Yeah, I don't know.
Does that feel right?
Potentially. Yeah, it's not welling up. I don't feel the urge for my eyes to water.
Well, the feeling could also be shame, embarrassment.
Yeah.
Any of those, does that resonate?
There will be elements of that, but it's not immediate.
Okay. All right, let's do this. Check in with your body. Where are you feeling this feeling in your body?
Which feeling of being vulnerable?
Yes.
Yeah. I feel tension in the back of my neck.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's what you mean.
I
feel with a good sign of when you've hit a nerve is my eyes just water.
Yeah. And what words did I say that hit that nerve? Do you remember them?
No. And
okay.
And I've said it and since I've been talking, and I think it was about the business or I think it's the fear of failure. I think it is, and not being good enough, of having the responsibility of all these people in the other company, but not having the skills, but thought we could just, wing it. I think I'm worried. Oh yeah, I can feel it. I'm worried. That history will repeat.
Okay, good. That's it. Okay.
Sorry, people who were warned.
No, you're doing great. You're doing awesome. Okay, let's start with there, because that's a meta concept inside of your brain that represents a lot of things. Does that make sense? When you say history will repeat, you know what that feels like and know the history is referring to, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to start with that. And on a scale of 1 to 10, tell me how strong is that feeling from 1 to 10?
I'd say it's a 10.
Okay.
I've got tears on a live cast.
Okay. All right. That's a good sign. Usually a 10 means we're on the right feeling usually. But I ask also because we do the post check where I'm making sure that the feeling's coming down, right? So let's just start with that. Is there anything you could add to that statement? I'm worried that history will repeat itself. That would make it a little bit stronger or feel true to the feeling.
And that I will lose money.
And then I'll lose everything?
No, probably just not everything. I think it's not making money is the key thing, because that was what was happening with the other one. We weren't managing it well for a variety of reasons. And so I'm worried I won't sell enough to cover my business expenses. And that will mean that it will fail. So it comes down to the selling, that I need to attract more customers and sell more and do a great job to keep my business, my baby, fed. So I guess it's just the ripple effect from I'm worried that history will repeat, or I'm worried that my business won't be a success because of my fear.
Failure to sell?
I don't know if it's a failure. It's the fear or risk of putting yourself out there.
Okay. Of something like that happening again.
Yeah, because in the business, part of the publicity was, you're on the front page of the newspaper and you were out there, and it was a small town. So you were not a celebrity, but, a known figure.
Yeah.
So now, and I've hidden from all that. And so to now, to be in ads and on social media and doing all that, I guess there's a fear of tall poppy syndrome of, being out there and cut down again.
Got it. Okay.
Whether I'm cutting myself down or something else is, or I'm sabotaging myself, I don't know. But
so I'm worried that history will repeat itself and I'll be cut down again. Does that feel true?
Yep.
Is that pretty strong?
Yes, I think there needs to be something about selling myself, selling my.
I won't be good enough at selling myself. Is it good enough, or is it I won't make enough sales? It could just be that.
Yeah. I think it's valuing what I offer. I don't value it.
You don't what? Value it.
Yeah, value it. Yeah.
Okay, so that could be a separate issue. Let's circle back to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this in the chat. This is just our private chat. Helps keep me on track with the statements we're working on. But I'm going to circle back to this and check in with you. What was the very last thing you said? And
don't value
the value thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Because that could be a sign of a bigger issue, or like what we talked about earlier in the chat. But let's get some feeling clearing going, and then we can circle back to that point. Okay. So, so let's just we're at a 10. We know we're at a 10 with this. So let's start the karate chop point. Do you remember this one right here on the, like you're gonna chop someone, and tap with your dominant hand? Are you right or left-handed?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you're right. Oh. So yeah, exactly. Yeah, you might. It's mirrored. So yeah, it looks yeah. So even though I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
Even though I'm worried history will repeat itself.
And I'll be cut down again.
And I'll be cut down again.
I'm open to letting these feelings go.
I'm open to letting these feelings go.
And to feeling like I can have a new start.
I'm feeling like I can have a new start.
Yeah. All right. So let's go right to the first I point. So I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried history will repeat itself.
And I'll be cut down again.
And I'll be cut down again.
Publicly.
Okay.
Second I point. Yep. Right on the side.
Good.
You're good. Yep. I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried history will repeat itself.
And I'll be cut down again.
And I'll be cut down again.
And feel publicly shamed.
And feel publicly shamed.
Good. underneath the eye. I'm worried that history will repeat itself
I'm worried history will repeat itself
with this new business.
with this new business.
And the same thing will happen over again.
I can feel it. Yeah, the same thing will happen over again.
All right, let's stick with that. Good. This worry that history will repeat itself.
This worry that history will repeat itself.
And the same thing will happen over again.
And the same thing will happen over again.
Okay. On the chin, I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
And the same thing will happen with this business.
And the same thing will happen with this business.
I can't go through that again.
I can't go through that again.
Does that feel true?
Yeah.
Yeah. The collarbone point, do you know what that is?
Yep.
Yeah. Like the bony, you find the point of the collarbone.
Bony.
Well, everyone's got a bone, right? Where the collarbone meets.
Somewhere.
Not you, yeah. And then you just kind of find the inside, like diagonally inside it. Yeah, exactly. So I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself
with this new business.
With this new business.
And and all that bad stuff will happen all over again.
And all that bad stuff will happen over again.
Yeah. All right, go to this high point. I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
And all that bad stuff will happen again.
And all that bad stuff will happen again.
Okay, breathe. Make sure you breathe throughout this process. And if you feel the need to breathe audibly, do that. Breathing is a parasympathetic nervous system response that is a relaxation response, so that's a good thing. And we need it to survive. I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
And in the business, it will happen again to this business.
And it will happen again to this business.
I can't go through that again.
I can't go through that again.
So it's better to not even try this business.
So it's better to not even try this business.
It's better on the side point, third eye point. It's better not to put myself out there.
It's better off to not put myself out there.
Than to have that happen again.
Than to have that happen again.
That was awful.
That was awful.
It really knocked my confidence down.
Knocked my confidence down.
And I still haven't gained it fully back.
And I still haven't gained it fully back.
Does that feel true?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm worried this will all happen all over again.
I'm worried that this will happen all over again.
I won't make enough sales in my business.
And I won't make enough sales in my business.
To keep it afloat. And history will just repeat itself.
And that history will repeat itself.
I can't have that happen again.
I can't have that happen again.
Good. On the chin. I'm really worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm really worried that history will repeat itself.
And I can't have that happen again.
I can't have that happen again.
Good. I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
Worried that history will repeat itself.
With this new business.
With this new business.
I can't go through that again.
I can't go through that again.
All right. Good. We're going to do one more point that I haven't done in the previous videos, but I started of incorporating it. It's just right on the top of your head, right on the very most uppermost point. I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
And I'll have to go through that again.
And I'll have to go through that again.
With this business or any business.
With this business or any business.
Okay. So you're at a 10. Just say for me, I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
Okay, is that a 10 still?
No, I'd say it's the thought that's coming in is that it's a 5.
Nice.
When we were doing that, I don't know if where you tap means anything, but saying that phrase, when I got to hear the second time, that's when I felt a response to it, but not like when it was here or here or here. So I don't know if that means anything, but
yes, it does and it doesn't. So I personally believe that certain tapping points, and it's different for each person, resonate with people differently. For example, this is interesting because this point actually almost never resonates with me. And I actually, when on my own personal tapping, I skip this point because it's never done anything for me. But I know that every person's body is different. And so I go through all the tapping points. But you might, as you do this over time, discover that there are certain points that really shift things quickly for you. So do more of those points if that's the case. It could be due to other factors. That is why, like in that particular moment, you felt the shift. But it could just be that point is something that really your body likes getting tapped on in relation to releasing negative emotions. So yeah, it's good noticing. And it's really good to notice that kind of stuff, and also any words that hit that feel particularly true as you do the process. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, well, we got it down from 10 to a 5. So that's progress, right? That's good. That's a good sign. Yeah. So, cool. Let's get it to a 0, because that's what I want to. I always like to bring feelings down to a 0, if possible. Unless sometimes we pivot and I go, ooh, I think we need to focus on this, but I'm feeling like this is one we can get down to a 0. So let's do that. So let's go right into the first tapping point. I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
And I won't sell enough to cover my business expenses.
And I won't sell enough to cover my business expenses.
And all that traumatic stuff will happen all over again.
And all that traumatic stuff will happen over again.
Good. Second eye point. I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
And all that traumatic stuff will happen all over again.
And all that traumatic stuff will happen all over again.
Okay, good. Underneath the eye. I don't want to go through that again with this business.
I don't want to go through that again with this business.
I can't do that again. That was too painful.
I can't do that again. It was too painful.
Yeah. It feels like a big ball and chain.
Feels like a big ball and chain.
Good. Underneath the nose. I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
And I'll be cut down again.
And I'll be cut down again.
Publicly shamed.
Publicly shamed.
Lose everything.
Lose everything.
And have to start over from scratch.
And have to start over again from scratch.
Yeah, good. I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
Good. I can't go through that pain again.
I can't go through that pain again.
I was so difficult.
It was so difficult.
And I barely made it through it.
And I barely made it through it.
Yeah. And I'm worried that this new business will crash and burn like the other one did.
I'm worried that this business will crash and burn like the other one did.
Does that feel true? You're laughing now. That's a good sign.
Well, yeah. I wouldn't have put it like that, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's an extreme way of calling it, but So I like to go with extreme terms because that's typically how the emotional brain sees the world, is in extreme terms, And if that doesn't resonate with you, then, that's not how you also need to use the language that resonates with you. So I just tried that on for size and,
Yeah.
So, it does add a little bit of a comedic element. And so one thing I want to note is when you get below a 5, you can start adding in positive statements, and you can start adding in comedic, ridiculous statements to really, this is just like a little advanced technique to really get in the perspective change in your emotional brain where it's like, that sounds ridiculous now. Or like, that just seems so silly now. You don't do that when you're a 10 because the negative emotion is too strong, right? So we wait until you're lower before we start adding humor in or any kind of positive reframe. Okay. So that's just a little
sign then, isn't it?
Advanced tip. Yeah. Yeah. So I think we just did one round. So let's do this. Let's do the top of that point real quick. I'm worried that history will repeat itself again.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself again.
And I'll have to go through all that.
And I'll have to go through that.
And my business will fail. Crash and burn. Yeah. I didn't want to say it again, but those are the words that were popping into my head. That's funny.
Oh dear.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
Honestly, I think some of the humor, the reason this is funny for you is because you're feeling some relief from the feeling too. Does that feel true?
Could be, or I'm deflecting. But
or you what? Are you deflecting?
Am I? I don't know.
Only you know that. I don't know.
No. Yeah. No, I think it's relief.
Yeah. Does the crash and burn word
makes me smile.
Okay. It's almost like it's comical.
Yes. Which you could interpret that therefore it seems unrealistic for my business to crash and burn and fail spectacularly.
Yeah.
So perhaps it has.
For this particular, I would guess that you've learned a lot from that experience, and learned what not to do and what to do from that experience. Yeah. Right? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
I mean that.
And I think that's what makes me weary.
Yeah.
And the root of the fear, or keeping myself safe from not doing it.
Are you worried you'll make the same mistakes?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to add that into the tapping process?
Yes. Yep.
Does that make the feeling go up a little bit?
I will try it and see.
Can you just say out loud, I'm worried that I'll make the same mistakes?
I'm worried that I'll make the same mistakes.
That kind of hit a little bit?
No.
Okay.
No, it didn't actually.
All right. That's good. Well, I'll add it in anyways, just as we go, but not really emphasize it too much. All right, let's go to this. I think we're around. Let's start with the first high point.
That's right, because that's Googling, isn't it? It's silly.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
Good. Second high point. I'm worried that it'll all crash and burn again.
I'm worried that it'll all crash and burn again.
And then I'll make the same mistakes.
And that'll make the same mistakes.
Okay, underneath the eye. I'm worried that I'll go through a really painful time again.
I'm worried that I'll go through a really painful time again.
Yeah. I really don't want to do that.
I definitely don't want to do that.
Yeah. I'm worried that, I'll go through a painful experience again.
I'm worried that I'll go through a painful experience again.
Okay. I'm worried that, history will repeat itself.
I'm worried that history will repeat itself.
With this business. It happened once, it could happen again.
If it happened once, it can happen again.
Yeah. Okay. I'm still worried that history could repeat itself.
I'm still worried that history can repeat itself.
Good. All right, let's pause there. So you were at a 5 before this last time we checked in. Where are you at now with it?
I think I'm at a 2. The crash and burn seems so ridiculous, and yet that's a comical way of saying what I was worried about.
Yes.
So I feel like it's diminished what I was worried about.
Yeah.
Because now it's funny.
Yeah. Right. Good. Nice. So that had the desired effect.
I think, oh God, if it fails, it's like, this is ridiculous. I just need to use those phrases, crash and burn, because it takes the power out of the fear.
Yeah. All right, so let's do some positive reframing for this, because I think like you're right for this. You're ready for this. So, there's a part of me that's excited about crashing and burning.
There's a part of me that's excited about crashing and burning.
I mean, think about crashing and burning. Like that's pretty exciting.
I mean, think about crashing and burning. It's pretty exciting.
If you see a rocket crash and burn, you watch that.
If you see a rocket crash and burn, you watch that.
Yeah. And they can always build another rocket.
And yeah, you can always build another rocket.
But hey, it's good entertainment while it happens.
It's good entertainment while it happens.
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous, right? Yeah. It's kind of silly to worry about crashing and burning.
It's silly to worry about crashing and burning.
I know that every successful person has crashed and burned at least once in their life.
I know every successful person has at least crashed and burned once in their successful life.
And usually in a big way.
And usually in a big way.
Yeah. But they didn't let that define them forever.
But they didn't let that define them forever.
Yeah, so I'm not going to let this define me forever.
So I'm not going to let this define me forever.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. I'm letting go of this worry that I might crash and burn.
I'm letting go of this worry that I might crash and burn.
You know, I did get through that other experience.
I did get through that other experience.
I'm still here today.
I'm still here today.
Still alive and kicking.
Still alive and kicking.
And I'm a much stronger person now because of it.
And I'm a much stronger person now because of it.
Does that feel true?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got
a
few more wrinkles.
Few more. Well, yeah, I've got some too. Yeah. I'm also wiser too.
I'm also wiser too.
I know what not to do.
I know what not to do.
I know I won't repeat those same mistakes again. That's for sure.
I know I certainly won't repeat those mistakes again, for sure.
That was branded into my head pretty deeply.
That was branded into my head pretty deeply.
Hard to forget that.
Hard to forget that.
Yeah. So I do believe that this time is different.
I do believe this time is different.
That I'm a different person now.
I'm a different person now.
My business is completely different.
My business is completely different.
And I can do it in a way that is not risky.
And I can do it in a way that's not risky.
Where there's basically no chance of crashing and burning.
Where there's basically no chance of crashing and burning.
After the session, if you want to do this, I'd like to brainstorm some of those ideas with you if you feel like it'd be helpful. Because I've been thinking a lot lately about risk in businesses in particular and how to mitigate risks and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, if you find that valuable, we can chat about that or anything else you like for a few minutes after the session. So
certainly, yes.
So let's continue with the go actually to the top of the head real quick. I am a different person now than I was back then.
I am a different person now than I was back then.
Yeah, I've got more life experience.
I've got more life experience,
and I've learned a lot from that quote failure.
And I've learned a lot from that quote failure.
Yeah. Maybe that failure is setting me up for success in a really big way.
Maybe that failure is setting myself up for success in a really big way.
Maybe that's what I needed to go through.
Maybe that's what I needed to go through.
In order to be really successful.
In order to be really successful.
And in order to really have the lifestyle that I want.
And to really have the lifestyle that I want.
Yeah. Good. Nothing has gone so wrong that it can't be fixed.
Nothing has gone so wrong that it can't be fixed.
Yeah, does that feel true?
Yeah.
And everything is figure-outable.
And everything is figure-outable.
I'm good at figuring things out.
I'm good at figuring things out.
That's true, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm good at solving problems.
I'm good at solving problems.
And this time, I'm in full control of the business.
And this time, I'm in full control of the business.
You mentioned you had partners and stuff before too, right? That was part of the dynamic. So
yeah.
That's not true anymore. It's me. It's up to me.
Yep, it's up to me.
Which is terrifying and also relieving.
which is terrifying and also relieving.
All right. So let's check back in with that. I'm worried that history will repeat itself. Is that still a 2?
No. Yeah, I'd say it's a 0 or 0.5. It's
at the most.
It's been neutralized, I'd say.
Nice. Really, okay. So can I give you, yeah, absolutely. Did you feel like that was a pretty big feeling that was tied in with all this stuff?
Yes, I think we've gone from tears to laughing and getting the giggles.
Exactly. I mean, that happens often.
Yeah,
it's a relief, and like you're feeling and seeing things differently too. That's at a deep level. That's part of the relief,
And I hadn't connected the previous business experience with fear of selling now of my own stuff, but it makes so much sense.
Yeah. That's really my role in these processes, is to help you make sense of your own life experience. Because if I've done that in a session, I consider that a massive success, because everything makes sense to your emotional brain. Everything does. Everything that you've lived has created an impression, positive, negative, in particular things that are strong positive, strong negative experiences. And painful things, the emotional brain will do basically anything to keep you from repeating that. And will create all sorts of wonderful strategies for you to keep it from having that same pain, discomfort, including working on your website, including all the stuff that you talked about, which is very common for other people to do. Those are protectors, right? Those are avenues, paths of least resistance away from, discomfort and emotional pain. So you might have a few more layers to this, right? Because with something as difficult as that, it's unlikely that that's the only belief that you would have related to that. That needs to be clear. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's likely that there's at least a couple or a few more. But what I'll give you some more tips when we close off the live broadcast in a second, about whatever you'd like to chat about. I've got another 10 minutes or so that I can chat. So we'll close the public portion of the session here, because we accomplished our objective, at least a big piece of it, right? And I really do appreciate you, Lyndal. I really do. You're an awesome person, and your energy is wonderful. And I know you're going to be successful in this business. I really do.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think you're right for it. And yeah, I'm happy that our paths have crossed too.
Yes. It's a story in itself too, isn't it?
I know, right? Exactly. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I'm just going to say one last quick little thing to wrap up the session, and I'm going to say goodbye to Lyndal briefly, but thank you so much again.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Let's see. So, cool. Well, that was a fun session, and they're all fun sessions for me. It's like every session's kind of a fun challenge to, like she said, to kind of make sense of it all. Because that's really what I try to do. That's like someone tells me a little piece of information, and that's like a piece of the puzzle that I'm trying to fit together to understand the emotional experience that someone has been through. So anyway, this is basically how my mind works during these live coaching processes. So as you can see, that was a cool session, and that was powerful in the sense that was a strong feeling for her that was holding her back. So, I encourage you. That's one of the reasons we do these things live too. If you feel like just from watching this video and maybe going through the steps of what's in our Facebook group, you can, you have enough information to do it on your own. Awesome. Like that's actually what we're like, our long-term goal with every person we work with is to empower them to shift their own limiting beliefs and feelings. But, sometimes people need help putting the pieces of the puzzle together and understanding, what might be holding them back in a particular situation. And if you're in that situation and you'd like to work with me or my mom, who's my business partner, one-on-one, or right now we're actually working with people 2-on-1, where you get 2 coaches. This is part of our Mindset Mastery coaching program. But if you're interested in that, just shoot me a message. This is really the tip of the iceberg, what we did today with Lyndal and some of the other stuff I've done with belief shifting. There's a lot involved in that program that that we customize and tailor, make it to your own needs so that you can really get into a powerful mental state and carry that mental state throughout life and throughout your business, because we believe that's when really good things happen, right? So if that's something that sounds interesting to you and you thought what happened in this session was cool, just reach out. Either on Facebook directly, just shoot me a message, or my email is josh@learnyourbrain.com. I'm pretty easy to find. So I'm going to close off this, the public portion of this, and just chat with Lyndal for a bit, just to tie up loose ends. And yeah, thank you all for joining.